And we are back with another Monday preview because we're finally back from the Four Nations. We've got 3 teams this week: Utah Hockey Club, Vegas Golden Knights, and Anaheim Ducks. We've got Crusty Old Guy that will be on site for Utah and the Vegas Golden Knight game, and I imagine when we play Anaheim back at home. But first off, Utah Hockey Club is 2-3-1 prior to this. Will come out after the Vancouver game, but I'm recording this before the Vancouver game, so their matchup against the Vancouver Canucks is not taken into that stat, but that is their record for February prior to the Four Nations break. For injured reserve, you've got Logan Cooley out with day-to-day for lower body, Rob Bortuzzo day-to-day for lower body, so not a ton on their injured reserve right now. They play, like I said, this will come out after the Vancouver game, but I'm recording it before, so they play Sunday against Vancouver at home, and then they'll play Tuesday Chicago at home. A little bit of skid prior to the Four Nations. I think there's only a few teams that were really having a hot streak prior to the break, aside from the ones like Winnipeg and the Washington Capitals that were already good since the first week of October. Utah is currently sitting at 5th out of 8 in the Central. They are 2 spots out of the second wild card spot, which is a little interesting. Goalie-wise, you've got Vejmelka and Ingram. Forwards, notable guys: Keller, Schmaltz, Krause, and Dylan Guenther. Defensemen, Sergachev, Marino, and Dursey. I think their future in terms of the trade deadline depends on probably even these next couple of games. On one hand, you are 2 spots out of the second wild card, so if you think that there's a potential to make that push into that second spot, sure, be buyers come trade deadline. If you're not necessarily wanting to make that push, you don't think realistically that you can get to that, I imagine they kind of regroup come off season, especially because a lot of their guys right now are going to come off the books at the end of the season. This is the end of everybody's kind of lengthy contract, or guys that were on a 1-year contract, but they may just regroup and kind of look at what they have come June and maybe be more free agency or draft trade contenders like they were this past year. Next team, we've got Vegas Golden Knights. They are sitting number 1 in the Pacific right now. Their last 10 are 5-3-2. Injured reserve is a little lengthy for them. You've got Shea Theodore out with a day-to-day with an arm injury that came out of the Four Nations tourney. William Karlsson is a long-term injured reserve for them with a lower body injury. Cormier is day-to-day undisclosed, and Schwint is on their injured reserve with a lower body. I believe he's longer than day-to-day. For Vegas, they play Monday in Los Angeles against the Kings, and then they play Chicago in Vegas on Thursday. So they have a couple of days in between. Right now, their goalie tandem is Four Nation tourney winner Adin Hill and Samsonov. Some notable guys on the Knights roster: you've got Eichel, Stone, Hurdle, Saad, Barbashev for defensemen, Pietrangelo, Hannafin, Whitecloud, McNabb. Everything's working for Vegas right now, obviously, because they're number 1 in the Pacific. So I don't know if they necessarily are looking to get more come trade deadline. I think this may be one of the first years where they're kind of just like running with what they have. Usually there's the running joke with Vegas that, Mark Stone goes on injured reserve. They're able to get another great guy, and that's how they're even more successful in the postseason. But Mark Stone's still here. But they do have William Karlsson out on injured reserve right now, and if he is out for a considerable period of time, that is $5.9 million of room that they have. If they want to grab a person, I don't think Vegas will. I think they are confident with the guys that they have, and when the guys on their injured reserve come back. Finally, last but not least, we've got the Anaheim Ducks. They're sitting 6th out of 8 in the Pacific on a little bit of a hot streak. In February prior to the break, they're 7-3 in their last 10. I think it's been a mixture of them being on a hot streak and also definitely benefiting that the Seattle Kraken have been suffering a bit this season. But they play Vancouver at home on Thursday, and then we'll play Chicago back in Chicago come Saturday. So no back-to-back for them. For injured reserve, you've got John Gibson out with a day-to-day for upper body. McGinn on injured reserve with lower body. He's out for the season. They'll revisit that come September. And Suchanek is day-to-day with a knee. Goalies right now, you're looking at Dustil and Dansk since Gibson's out. For notable forwards, you got Terry, Killorn, Zegras, Strome, and Vetrano. Defensemen, you've got Trouba, Gudis, Zellweger, and Mitnyakov. Trade deadline, I don't think Anaheim's going to do anything. They're not necessarily in the position to make a push because they are sitting 6th out of 8 in the Pacific, and they're so far out of a wild card spot. They're not looking to push into the postseason, and they're in a rebuild, so they're not looking to sell either, I think. I believe that the Ducks are going to make some noise come free agency and over the summer because they do have, as of right now, $60.8 million in cap room, and I think they're going to become buyers in the offseason. I don't think they're going to become buyers right now at the trade deadline. So like I said, we've got Utah, we've got Vegas, we've got Anaheim. Krusty will be out there this week for Utah and Vegas. Very jealous. But that is your weekly preview, and we will talk at you guys next week.